Welcome to Distilled the Bourbon Podcast. I'm Brent. I'm here with my co-host Brian and Chuck. Today, fellas, we're going to take a little bit of a detour from bourbons, and we're going to go to the cousin's house and have a little bit of rye.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So if I understand correctly, rye is very similar to bourbon, except it's 51% rye.
At least,
instead of corn.
That's exactly right. And I have seen there are some rye recipes that are relatively high corn. You talk about some high rye bourbons. Well, there are some high corn ryes. I've seen rye recipes where it's 95% rye. I think I've seen one where it was 100% rye, which means no malted barley at all. Wow. I don't know how they work that out, but some of them can be super high rye.
Yeah, a lot of the MGP products, 95% rye. I've tasted several of those, and I'm a rye fan, so I really enjoy them.
Yeah, so this is going to be your kind of day.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie, because I'm a weedy guy. Yeah. I'm a little nervous. We're going to do these blind. We're going to test 3 products, right?
Only 3?
Only 3 for now. But we know what those are. It's the Casey Jones brand new rye that they have out. And then we have Sazerac, which is kind of a gold standard. I've had that in cocktails many, many times. And then we have house favorite, my favorite, Peerless, Kentucky Peerless. At least it's my favorite for now. We'll see what happens after this. But we're going to drink these in order, but we don't know what order they're in. We've blinded it at least enough to where none of us knows which one we're having until after we reveal the order. Okay?
I don't know any of them. I mean, I've never known the order at all. So
yeah, and 2 of these I've had. The only one I haven't had is Casey Jones. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, after that new Casey Jones weeded, I'm excited to try the new rye. Should we take a little sniff of the first one and see what we got here?
We're working left to right here.
Left to right. First one. We're going to call this number 1. Kind of mild, isn't it?
Yeah, not getting much on those. Definitely get the spice and the ethanol.
Really? I'm going to kind of precondition the mouth a little bit, just get some alcohol in there.
I will say that these have been poured for probably 30 minutes now, so some of that alcohol might have burned off a little bit. That's pretty good, fellas.
That's pretty rye-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't punch me in the face.
No. You're getting your standard rye pepperiness. I think that would make a really good cocktail rye. Really good cocktail.
You know what I found interesting is someone very prominent in the bourbon business, a true insider, an executive, talked about the older he gets, he and his buddies drink more rye than they do bourbon. Do you think that's a trend? Or do you?
Oh, I think
I definitely think it is.
It's super hot right now.
Yeah, it is. I think what it is rye isn't something just like high proof bourbon. You're not just going to try it the first time and love it. I think the more you drink bourbons and ryes, you want more and more of the spice and the heat and so forth. So
okay, what do you think about the first one there?
It's good. I'm interested to see what rye that is, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call that my favorite sipper of all time, but I think it would really stand out great in a cocktail. I think a lot of great cocktail whiskeys, I don't really care for them neat or even on the rocks. I won't call anybody out, but there's some stuff out there, some good bold whiskey that just stands out well in a cocktail, which is what a cocktail needs.
Yeah. And I think that would make a great cocktail.
I agree. Sure.
I can sip this one though. So, that's a good thing for me. I'm going to grab number 2.
I'm betting number 2 is going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Oh, smells sweet.
It is not Cooper's Craft.
Okay, that's got a much bigger mouthfeel. Like you said, the nose on the first one, pretty mild, and it went down pretty mild, but I still think it could stand up in a cocktail.
I see what you're saying about mouthfeel, though. I didn't get very much on the nose at all, so maybe my nose is just conditioned now, but it definitely has a much stronger and, quite frankly, good palate there.
So a rye nose, just by definition, is going to have is going to be different from bourbon. Every now and then I can nose a rye and I can smell rye bread on it. Usually I don't.
Yeah. This one, I really like this one. I like it much better than the first one. Not as spicy, and it's a little sweet to me.
A little bit.
It's pretty good.
There's only one of these ryes that I would expect to be sweet at all, and I'll tell you why later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what the third one has to offer.
Yeah, that second one, a little peppery on the front of the tongue, but on the back of the tongue, it's just got a nice whiskey flavor.
It does. Yeah, I like that one.
Okay.
Ooh. 2 and 3 are definitely, to me, a tier above number 1. I'm not sure if I like number 2 or number 3 better.
That's a tough call for me. I like both of them. Fortunately, I have some of both left, so I'm going to revisit both and try to decide which one I like more.
Yeah, I've got some left.
So, Chuck, we've tried all these blinded.
Right.
You have any guesses as to what 1, 2, or 3 might be?
Yeah, I do. My prediction is that number 1 is Sazerac rye.
Okay.
Is Sazerac rye actually made at Buffalo Trace or another Sazerac facility?
It's made at Buffalo Trace.
Okay. I think number 1 is Sazerac rye. I think number 2 is from Casey Jones. And I think number 3 is Kentucky Peerless rye. And part of the reason I say that, I mentioned that there's some high corn ryes.
Right.
And Corky Taylor has mentioned before that there's a lot of corn in their rye. And he describes it as a rye that a bourbon drinker would like.
Right, exactly.
And you'll recall that when that first was his first 2-year-old was released, gosh, it's been 4 or 5 years ago, it was quickly ranked by Whiskey Advocate or somebody as one of the top whiskeys in the world. And
top 20.
I'm sorry, one of the top 20 whiskeys in the world and the only rye in the world.
Yeah.
I'll mention that maybe not every Kentucky distillery, but increasingly you go to a Kentucky distillery and you can taste bourbon and you can taste rye.
Exactly.
Casey Jones definitely is doing that. Peerless came out of the gate with a 2-year-old rye before they had their 4-year-old bourbon. Wilderness Trail has got some great ryes. There's a lot out there, and for sure, there's a lot of people who like that big, bold, peppery taste. Our friend Daryl, who we went to his man cave for an episode a while back, he definitely he likes hot food, and he likes that hot rye.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think number 1 is Sazerac, number 2 is Casey Jones. I think number 3 is Peerless.
Well, mine's slightly different. So I think number 1 is Casey Jones. Number 2 is Sazerac, and then number 3 is Peerless.
You think so?
So just swapping 1 and 2 out.
So 2 of us agree that number 3 we think is Peerless.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. What about it, Brent? You don't know, but you know what you taste.
I don't know. I have a very similar response to you, Chuck. What I hope it is Sazerac is 1 and Casey Jones is 2, and I feel pretty confident that Peerless is 3.
So we're unanimous that we think that number 3 is Peerless.
Yes. And 2 and 3 are very close to me.
Yeah.
And I think it would depend on the day and the settings, and am I having food or is it in a cocktail? I very rarely drink neat rye whiskey. So it would depend on some other factors as to whether I'd like 2 or 3 best. But just based on having them neat here in this setting, I think 3 probably is the best one to me so far. So, all right, here it comes, fellas. Are you ready to find out what's what?
Is this the big reveal?
This is the big reveal.
Are we going to have any hanging chads or anything like that?
Well, I don't personally know Chad, but anyway, the order in which we drank these are: number 1 was Sazerac, and number 2 was a very delicious, I thought, a great effort, and I certainly will keep this on the shelf. Casey Jones comes in second, beats the big dog Sazerac.
Can you believe that? Buffalo
Yes.
Trace product came in 3rd place at blind tasting.
I can believe it.
I can believe it too.
Because how many times have we said it? Maybe on every single show, the craft distilleries are the ones out there pushing the envelope. And I think Sazerac was very much that standard Chevy brown.
Exactly.
This is a rye. Mix it with something and it'll be great.
And you can't find it. It's allocated product because people
Yeah.
want it so bad just because it's a Buffalo Trace product.
Sure. Crazy. And then Chuck, number 3, Peerless.
No surprise. And by the way, cha-ching.
Exactly.
I'm not a master taster, but I'm just going with my gut. Look, I know we talk about Casey Todd a lot because it's kind of in our backyard. It's 90 minutes away. I'm just
Casey Jones. We like Casey Todd too, though.
Casey Jones Distillery in Hopkinsville. They're doing great stuff.
They are.
As I'm not saying for a craft distiller, I mean as a craft distiller, they're doing great stuff. My wife and I stopped in there on Memorial Day and had a big old tasting and bought a whole box of stuff. They do excellent work. No one's ever going to say the Buffalo Trace doesn't have fantastic products. But some of their bourbons are some of my favorite bourbons in the world.
They are. Yep.
I also have some other favorite bourbons in the world that don't come from Buffalo Trace.
Right.
And they're not allocated. You can buy them every day of the week, which I love.
And I would recommend you guys at home who's listening to this, try this at home because you will be appalled of how you perceive bourbons and ryes if you just blind tasting yourself.
Yeah, get somebody to help you. The way we did this was I put them in an order, 1, 2, and 3, and then Brian came along and said, "Okay, put them in a different order and write down what order you changed to." So we knew what they were.
And you didn't know the brands.
Afterwards.
You just knew numbers.
I just knew numbers. Yeah, he told me this is 1, 2, 3. I looked at it and then I just swapped the order.
So this is a poor man's blind taste
Right,
test.
and Brent even told me I could keep it in the same order or
Right.
change it up.
yeah,
So
big
he didn't
fake
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all 3 of these good products.
They are.
2 I'd buy every day of the week and keep around. The other one, it's fine. I think I'd probably save it for a cocktail, but interesting stuff.
Peerless is one that I probably would not be extravagant enough to put into a cocktail. I know it would make a fantastic cocktail. Peerless is a terrific rye. Probably was the first rye that I ever fell in love with.
Yeah. Now, are you saying that because of price?
I suppose it. I think it's maybe an $85 bottle these days. I think when it first came out, it was $125.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they've dropped the price a little bit. And the Casey Jones rye is probably a $40 or $45. But also, I just love the Peerless rye. It's closer to a bourbon than some ryes are. And
You'd rather drink it on the rocks or neat as opposed to in a cocktail?
yeah, I would put it on the rocks. I'm a rocks guy.
Yeah.
We've talked about tasting before. We've all admitted that we're not the guys who are going to tell you almond and clay mud and coconut. That's not where we're at. And first of all, in what other area other than say bourbon or wine do people get caught up in that kind of thing? If you eat a good steak, do you spend your time talking about what flavors you're pulling out of there, or are you saying, "Oh man, this is a delicious piece of beef," or if it's a roast chicken, or if it's you don't dissect.
Right.
You just enjoy it.
You just enjoy it and
Talk and tell people about it.
I think that's where all 3 of us are.
Yeah. That's where we are. But I think if somebody else wants to do that, if they want to get into it, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Absolutely. But the other thing I'll repeat, I think I've said it before, I think your tastes change day to day.
Yep.
Some people will say, well, what did you eat today? We all ate something different today. So even if we had identical taste, my 2-cheese grilled cheese sandwich at lunch, might affect it. I think stuff tastes different on the rocks.
Sure.
It's cold, so I think it's going to take on a different flavor. So to me, it's not a competition, as to who can taste what. I think it's all about what do you find to be good drinking whiskey. For me, the Peerless was my favorite, and the Casey Todd was my second.
Or the Casey Jones, either one.
Casey Todd is a restaurateur in our hometown, and he also has a wonderful bourbon selection. So it's kind of, if you start off saying Casey, then the name Todd kind of just rolls off. So don't listen to anything else I have to say.
Well, with that said, cheers to Casey Jones and Casey Todd and to Kentucky Peerless. And we love Buffalo Trace. Fellas, anything else? Any last thoughts?
Oh, Did you tell people what the title of this episode is?
I have not, but the working title is Three Blind Ryes. And this is Distilled Bourbon Podcast saying, please drink responsibly.
Three blind Ryes, three blind Ryes. See how they pour, see how they pour.